Millionaire CEO divorces black wife over rumors, then faces a painful truth. He was a millionaire CEO, living a life most could only dream of. Power, success, and the love of a woman who stood by him through everything. She was his heart, his home, his greatest treasure. But when envious whispers and deceitful rumors slithered into his world, doubt took root where trust once stood. Convinced of a betrayal he never witnessed, he shattered the love he swore to protect. In his arrogance, he let go of the one person who truly loved him, only to realize too late that the lies were never hers. They belonged to those who envied their happiness. Now, drowning in regret and haunted by the past, he is on a desperate search for the woman he once called his wife. But some mistakes leave scars too deep to heal. Will he find her before it's too late? Will love be enough to mend what was broken? Or has he lost her forever? Hello, my beautiful family. Welcome back to another heart-touching story. Today, I bring you an emotional roller coaster filled with love, betrayal, regret, and redemption. You don't want to miss a second of it, but before we dive in, I have to be honest with you all. I'm feeling a little upset today. I pour my heart and soul into writing these stories for you, day and night, to bring you the best, most valuable content. But many of you are watching without subscribing. Please, I kindly request you to hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment on every video. Your support, your thoughts, and your love give me the energy and motivation to keep creating these powerful stories for our amazing family. So if you love what I do and want to see more, show some love. Subscribe, like, and share this video. Let's grow this beautiful community together. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy today's incredible story. The grand ballroom of the Hilton Hotel shimmered with golden chandeliers, casting a soft glow over the elegantly dressed guests. The air was filled with the gentle hum of conversation, the clinking of champagne glasses, and the soft notes of a violin playing in the background. It was an exclusive charity event attended by the city's most influential personalities, including Alexander Kingston, the young, handsome millionaire CEO known for his sharp business acumen and heart-stopping looks. Mia Carter stepped into the room, her deep brown skin glowing under the dim lights. She wore a sleek, midnight blue gown that hugged her curves, her natural curls cascading over her shoulders. Confidence radiated from her as she walked through the crowd, though deep inside she felt slightly out of place. She wasn't from this world of wealth and power. She was a hard-working woman running a small art gallery with dreams bigger than her means. But tonight, she was here because of her work with underprivileged artists, an initiative that had caught the attention of the charity organizers. Alexander Kingston had noticed her the moment she entered. There was something different about her, a quiet elegance, a warmth in her deep brown eyes that intrigued him. He had spent years in the company of high society women, all polished and poised, yet none had ever made his heart skip the way Mia did when she smiled at the elderly gentleman she was conversing with. As if drawn by an invisible force, Alexander made his way toward her. "Good evening," he greeted, his voice smooth and rich. Mia turned, and for a moment their eyes locked. A jolt of unexpected energy passed between them, intense and undeniable. "Good evening," Mia responded, her voice steady despite the flutter in her chest. She recognized him instantly. Who didn't know Alexander Kingston? But there was something about the way he looked at her, not as a mere guest in the room, but as if she were the only person who mattered at that moment. "I'm Alexander," he said, extending his hand. "Mia Carter," she replied, slipping her fingers into his warm grasp. The brief touch sent an electrifying sensation through her, and she quickly withdrew her hand, slightly shaken by the instant connection. "You have quite the presence," Alexander remarked, his gaze unwavering. Mia chuckled softly. I could say the same about you, Mr. Kingston. Please call me Alex. The conversation flowed effortlessly, much to Mia's surprise. They talked about art, philanthropy, their passions, and their dreams. Alexander found himself captivated by Mia's intelligence and the way her eyes sparkled when she spoke about her work. Unlike the women he usually encountered, she wasn't impressed by his wealth or status. She was real, grounded, and had a heart full of dreams that extended beyond material success. As the night went on, Alexander found himself drawn to her laughter, the way she tilted her head when she was deep in thought, and the soft, musical quality of her voice. He had never felt so effortlessly connected to someone before. It was as if they had known each other forever, as if fate had orchestrated their meeting. "Would you care for a dance?" Alexander asked, offering his hand once more. Mia hesitated for the briefest moment before nodding. "I'd love to." He led her to the dance floor, his arm wrapping securely around her waist as they swayed to the slow melody. Their bodies moved in perfect harmony, as if they had danced together 1,000 times before. Mia's heart pounded in her chest, and she knew this was more than just attraction. It was something deeper, something dangerous, something that could change everything. "You're different, Mia," Alexander murmured close to her ear, sending shivers down her spine. "So are you," she admitted. He smiled, tightening his hold on her. "I'd like to see you again." Mia met his gaze, searching for any hint of pretense, but found none, just sincerity, just the promise of something beautiful. "I'd like that too," she whispered. And in that moment, amidst the dazzling lights and the hum of the city outside, two souls began a journey neither of them had expected, a love story that would test the strength of their hearts, the power of their trust, and the resilience of true love. The days that followed their first meeting were filled with a whirlwind of emotions. Alexander found himself unable to stop thinking about Mia, her laughter, her intelligence, and the warmth that radiated from her presence. She was unlike anyone he had ever known. Despite coming from entirely different worlds, their connection was undeniable, magnetic. Alexander, a man who had spent years building an empire, had always believed that love was a distraction, an indulgence he couldn't afford. But with Mia, everything felt different. He found himself longing for moments with her, afternoons stolen in cozy cafes, late-night conversations about art and dreams, and the quiet understanding that passed between them when words were unnecessary. Mia, too, was enchanted by him. Beyond the wealth and power, she saw a man with a kind heart, a man who carried the weight of expectations but craved something real. She admired his sharp mind, his ambition, but most of all, she cherished the way he listened, truly listened when she spoke. He made her feel seen, valued. Their relationship grew in stolen moments and whispered promises. Alexander would surprise Mia with spontaneous outings, a private tour of an art museum after hours, a picnic on the rooftop of his penthouse overlooking the city, a handwritten letter left on her doorstep just to remind her she was in his thoughts. Mia, in turn, brought a sense of normalcy into his life. She introduced him to simple joys, watching sunsets from the park, dancing barefoot in her living room to an old jazz record, sharing stories from her childhood that made him laugh until his stomach hurt. Despite their growing love, there were challenges. The media had started to take notice of their relationship, and Alexander's elite social circle wasn't shy about their disapproval. Whispers followed them at events, headlines speculated about Mia's intentions, and judgmental stares became commonplace. But through it all, they held on to each other. One evening, as they walked along the riverbank, Alexander took Mia's hands in his, gazing into her eyes with an intensity that made her breath hitch. "I don't care what the world says," he whispered. "All I know is that when I'm with you, I feel like the man I was always meant to be." Mia squeezed his hands, her heart swelling with emotion. "You don't have to prove anything to anyone, Alex. Just be with me, and that's enough." He pulled her into a gentle embrace, pressing his forehead against hers. "I love you, Mia." A tear slipped down her cheek, but it was a tear of happiness. "I love you too." As the stars shimmered above them, their love solidified, stronger than any doubt, brighter than any shadow. The world might try to pull them apart, but together they were unstoppable. The world outside was relentless, its scrutiny unyielding. For Alexander and Mia, their love had become something sacred, something too precious to expose to the cold judgment of society. With Alexander's high-profile status, the media followed his every move, and rumors swirled like a storm whenever he was seen with someone unexpected. And Mia, graceful, intelligent, yet far removed from the elite circles, was a target for speculation. So they chose secrecy. Their meetings became a delicate dance between longing and discretion. They stole moments in the late hours of the night, meeting in the dimly lit corridors of exclusive hotels where no prying eyes could reach them. Behind closed doors, away from flashing cameras and whispered conversations, they could simply be Alexander and Mia, two souls lost in the embrace of love. Every rendezvous was a treasure, a sanctuary. Alexander would arrive first, his pulse quickening as he awaited the sound of Mia's gentle knock. When she entered, the weight of the outside world would melt away. He would pull her into his arms, holding her as if he had been drowning, and she was his first breath of air. "God, I've missed you," he'd murmur against her skin, his voice thick with emotion. Mia would smile, her fingers tracing the sharp lines of his jaw. "We saw each other 2 days ago." "That's too long," he'd say, before kissing her deeply, as if trying to make up for every second apart. They would spend hours tangled together, sharing stories, whispered dreams, and stolen kisses. Sometimes they ordered room service, laughing over late-night meals while lounging in bed. Other times they sat by the window, gazing at the city lights, speaking of what-ifs and maybes. Mia spoke of her art, her aspirations, and Alexander listened intently, always promising her a future where she could chase her dreams freely, without fear or limitation. But their secret paradise was not without its shadows. The loneliness of hidden love crept in when Alexander had to leave before dawn, slipping away before the world woke. Mia, left behind in the quiet of the hotel room, would lie awake, wondering how long they could keep this up. How long before their love demanded more than stolen nights, before the truth would have to be faced. One evening, as they lay wrapped in each other's arms, Mia traced idle circles on Alexander's chest, her voice soft but firm. "Do you ever wish things were different?" Alexander exhaled, his fingers threading through her curls. "Every day. But if keeping you safe means keeping us a secret a little while longer, then I'll do it. I'll do anything to protect what we have." Mia knew the risks. She knew the price they were both paying, but as she looked into Alexander's eyes, filled with devotion, she also knew one thing with absolute certainty. She would wait. As long as it took, she would wait for the day they no longer had to hide. The evening was perfect, a night sculpted by destiny, adorned with a sky full of stars that twinkled like knowing eyes watching over them. Alexander had planned every detail meticulously, ensuring that this moment would be one Mia would remember forever. Mia arrived at the secluded garden, led only by a trail of glowing candles that illuminated the cobblestone path. The scent of fresh roses filled the air, mingling with the soft notes of a violinist playing in the distance. Her heart pounded in her chest as she followed the lights, anticipation growing with each step. At the center of the garden stood Alexander, waiting with a mixture of nervous excitement and unwavering devotion. He looked dashing in his tailored black suit, but it wasn't his appearance that made Mia's breath catch. It was the way he looked at her, as if she were the only thing in the world that mattered. "Mia," he said, his voice steady but full of emotion. "From the moment I met you, my world changed. You became the reason I look forward to every sunrise and the dream I cherish every night." Mia's eyes glistened with unshed tears, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for his. "You are my heart, my love, my future, and I don't want to spend another day without knowing that you will be mine forever." With that, Alexander slowly knelt on one knee, presenting a breathtaking diamond ring that sparkled as brilliantly as Mia's own radiance. Gasps of awe echoed softly from the hidden guests who had gathered nearby. Friends, family, and even a few influential figures from Alexander's world, all waiting for her answer. Mia let out a breathless laugh, her heart swelling beyond measure. "Yes," she whispered, then louder, with conviction. "Yes, Alexander, 1,000 times, yes!" Applause erupted around them as Alexander slipped the ring onto her finger before standing and pulling her into a passionate embrace. The world blurred as they kissed, the love between them tangible, undeniable. Their engagement soon became the talk of high society. Headlines gushed about the stunning proposal, speculating about the wedding, the union of two different worlds. Some whispered approval, others disapproval, but none could deny the love that bound them together. As they danced beneath the stars that night, Mia rested her head against Alexander's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. This was their beginning, their promise. A love strong enough to defy all odds. The day had finally arrived, the moment Mia had only dared to dream of. The grand cathedral stood bathed in golden sunlight, its towering stained-glass windows casting shimmering hues across the marble floors. White roses adorned the aisles, their delicate fragrance mingling with the soft symphony of violins playing in the background. Every detail had been carefully arranged to create the perfect setting for their love story's most beautiful chapter. Mia stood before the mirror in her bridal suite, her heart pounding with anticipation. The intricate lace of her gown hugged her figure perfectly, the long train cascading behind her like a flowing dream. Her curls were pinned with pearls, and her eyes shimmered with unshed tears of happiness. The reflection staring back at her was a vision of love, hope, and a future she had once thought impossible. A gentle knock at the door made her turn. It was her best friend, Lisa, who stepped in with a beaming smile. "Mia, it's time," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Mia took a deep breath, her fingers clutching the bouquet of white lilies and blush roses. Her heart swelled with a mixture of nerves and excitement. She was about to walk into a new life, a life beside the man she loved more than anything. The doors to the cathedral swung open, and a hush fell over the crowd as Mia stepped forward. Gasps of admiration rippled through the guests, her beauty undeniable, her presence radiant. At the end of the aisle, Alexander stood waiting, his gaze locked on her, his heart pounding so fiercely he could hardly breathe. Dressed in a tailored black tuxedo, he looked more handsome than ever, but it was the raw emotion in his eyes that sent Mia's heart soaring. With each step she took toward him, memories of their journey together flashed through her mind. Their first meeting, the late-night conversations, the stolen kisses, the laughter, the love that had blossomed against all odds. She saw it all in his eyes, reflected back at her like the most precious promise. When she finally reached him, Alexander took her hands in his grip firm yet tender. "You are my heart," he whispered, just for her to hear. "Today, I make you mine forever." The ceremony began, the officiant's voice echoing through the cathedral as vows were spoken, words dripping with sincerity and devotion. Despite the murmurs of disapproval from a select few of his high society friends, love radiated between them, silencing any doubts. Alexander slid the delicate diamond ring onto Mia's finger, his hands trembling slightly with the depth of emotion he felt. Tears glistened in Mia's eyes as she repeated her vows, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "I promise to stand by you, to love you, to cherish every moment we have together. You are my home, my heart, my forever." As they sealed their promises with a kiss, applause erupted and flower petals rained down upon them. The world around them melted away, leaving only the two of them standing in the glow of their love. Alexander cupped Mia's face, his lips lingering against hers, as if savoring the very essence of this moment. At the grand reception, the celebration continued in an opulent ballroom adorned with twinkling chandeliers and cascading floral arrangements. Guests toasted to their happiness, laughter filling the air as Alexander twirled Mia around the dance floor, holding her close as if he never wanted to let go. He whispered sweet nothings into her ear, making her blush and giggle like a girl experiencing love for the first time. Despite the grandeur surrounding her, Mia's heart remained untouched by material wealth. What mattered was the man by her side, the love they shared, the unwavering devotion in his eyes. She had entered Alexander's lavish world with love and hope in her heart, fully aware of the challenges ahead. But as long as they faced them together, she believed they could overcome anything. That night, as they stood on the balcony of their honeymoon suite, gazing at the city lights below, Alexander wrapped his arms around Mia from behind, pressing a kiss to her bare shoulder. "I promise to love you more with each passing day," he whispered against her skin. Mia turned in his embrace, gazing up at him with absolute trust. "And I promise to always stand beside you." As the night breeze wrapped around them, they knew without a doubt their love was eternal, bound by fate, sealed by their vows, and destined to withstand any storm that came their way. Mia and Alexander's marriage blossomed into a love story that felt almost surreal. Their days were filled with laughter, passion, and an unbreakable bond that only grew stronger with time. They had built a life together, one that blended romance with ambition, understanding with resilience. Every morning, Mia woke up to Alexander's arms wrapped around her, his breath warm against her skin. "Good morning, my love," he would murmur, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. She cherished these moments, the quiet intimacy before the chaos of the day began. Mia had seamlessly integrated into Alexander's world, supporting his business with her keen insights and strong intuition. While she had once been an outsider in his high society circle, she had carved her own space with grace and intelligence. She attended board meetings, offered fresh perspectives, and became a trusted confidant in his decisions. Alexander admired her ability to stand her ground, her unwavering loyalty making him feel invincible. "You have an eye for things I don't, Mia," he told her one evening as they reviewed reports together in his study. "You make me better." She smiled, lacing her fingers through his. "We make each other better." Despite the demands of his empire, Alexander always made time for their love. He would whisk Mia away for spontaneous weekend getaways, surprise her with candlelit dinners, and steal kisses whenever he could. They built a life of balance, one where work never overshadowed the love they shared. Their home was a sanctuary filled with warmth and laughter. They hosted dinner parties where Mia's charm won over even the most skeptical of Alexander's acquaintances. "Elena, from the moment I married you in secret," Adrian began, his voice thick with emotion, "I didn't know what I had." He paused, his jaw clenching as if the weight of his words was too much to bear. "But I do now. You are my heart, my home, my everything." His words hit her like a wave, and her eyes welled up with tears. She had known from the moment they had met that Adrian was special, but she never imagined that he would become the love of her life in such an extraordinary way. "I vow to love you, protect you, cherish you for the rest of my life," he added, his voice cracking slightly as he spoke the words that would bind them together forever. Elena could barely speak through her tears. But when it was her turn to say her vows, she managed to find her voice, her words coming from the deepest part of her heart. As the officiant declared them husband and wife, the world seemed to fall away. Everything felt like a dream. And in that moment, Adrian pulled her into his arms, his lips crashing down onto hers in a kiss that was so full of love, so full of promise, that the entire audience gasped. There was no hiding it anymore. No more secrets. Adrian Sinclair, the ruthless CEO who had once kept his heart locked away, was now hopelessly, endlessly in love with his wife, and the world knew it. Months passed, and Elena's life took on a new rhythm. She and Adrian had built a life together, a life filled with love, laughter, and the joy of their growing family. But nothing could prepare Adrian for the moment that changed everything, the birth of their twins. The day had arrived, and Elena was in the delivery room, and Adrian was pacing outside, his usually calm and composed demeanor completely shattered. He was a man who was always in control, always confident in his ability to handle any situation, but today he was losing his mind. "She's been in there too long," he muttered, his voice tight with frustration. "Why haven't they called me in?" His assistant, who had seen Adrian go through many stressful situations, simply sighed. "Sir, it's normal. Just a little longer." A little longer? Adrian couldn't take it. His heart was pounding in his chest. He couldn't sit still any longer. And then, just when he thought he might lose his mind, the sound he had been waiting for pierced the air, a baby's cry followed by another. His heart stopped. A nurse rushed out, beaming with joy. "Mr. Sinclair, your wife and babies are safe. You can come in now." Adrian didn't wait a second longer. He stormed into the room, his eyes landing on Elena, who was cradling two tiny newborns in her arms. His breath hitched in his throat as he took in the sight. She was exhausted, her face pale, but her eyes were full of love and joy. "Adrian," she whispered, tears in her eyes, "meet our babies." His heart swelled and he slowly moved closer, his hands trembling as he touched the tiny fingers of their newborn daughter. She was so small, so perfect. "She looks like you," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion, his eyes never leaving her face. Elena smiled, her heart overflowing with love. "And he looks like you." Their baby boy, a perfect replica of Adrian, lay in her arms, and Adrian felt a surge of pride and love, unlike anything he had ever known. This was his family. This was everything he had ever wanted. He pressed a gentle kiss to Elena's forehead, his arms wrapping around her and their babies. "I love you," he whispered, his voice breaking with emotion. "Thank you for giving me everything I never knew I needed." Eleanor smiled, her head resting against his shoulder as she held their children close. "I love you too, Adrian, forever." And in that moment, as Adrian held Elena and their newborn twins, he knew without a doubt that he had finally found his happily ever after. The love of his life, the family he had always dreamed of, was right there in his arms, and he would never let it go. The passion that once burned between them had cooled, and she had no idea why. One evening she prepared his favorite meal, setting the table with candles and soft music, desperate to rekindle the warmth between them. But when Alexander arrived home, his expression was unreadable, his posture stiff. He barely glanced at the beautifully arranged dinner, instead loosening his tie and pouring himself a drink. "Alexander," Mia said softly, walking toward him. "Can we talk?" He took a slow sip, his gaze dark. "Talk about what?" "About us." She hesitated. "You've changed. You barely look at me, barely speak to me. Did I do something wrong?" His jaw clenched. He set his glass down with more force than necessary and finally met her eyes. "Do you really want me to answer that?" Mia's stomach twisted. "Yes." Alexander scoffed, shaking his head. "You act so innocent." Her breath hitched. "What?" He took a step closer, his eyes burning with something she had never seen before, something that terrified her. "I know what you've been doing, Mia. I know you haven't been faithful." The word struck her like a slap. "What?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Don't play dumb." His tone was sharp, cutting. "I know about the man you've been meeting behind my back, the whispered phone calls, the secret rendezvous." Tears welled in her eyes as she shook her head frantically. "Alexander, that's not true. I have never betrayed you. I love you." His laughter was bitter. "Love?" He scoffed. "Is that what you call it?" Mia stepped closer, reaching for him, but he recoiled as if her touch would burn him. The rejection shattered something inside her. "Please, tell me who told you these lies. You know me, Alexander. You know I would never—" "I don't know anything anymore," he interrupted, his voice laced with anger and pain. She stared at him, heartbroken. This wasn't the man she married. This wasn't the man who had vowed to love and trust her. Someone had poisoned him against her, and he had believed them. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered, "You're making a terrible mistake." Alexander's expression hardened. "The only mistake I made was trusting you." And with those final devastating words, he turned and walked away, leaving Mia standing there, shattered and alone, wondering how their perfect love had turned into this unbearable nightmare. Mia sat across from Alexander in the sterile, impersonal office of his lawyer, her hands trembling as she held the divorce papers. Her vision blurred with unshed tears, but Alexander's face remained cold, his jaw set in stone. The man who once held her with tenderness now looked at her as if she were a stranger. "Sign them, Mia," he said, his voice devoid of emotion. Her breath hitched. "Alexander, please, we can fix this. Don't throw us away because of lies." His expression didn't waver. "It's already done." Tears slipped down her cheeks, but she refused to wipe them away. "I love you. I have only ever loved you." A flicker of something, pain, regret, crossed his face, but it vanished just as quickly. "If that were true, you wouldn't have betrayed me." Mia clenched her fists, shaking her head. "I didn't betray you." Her voice cracked under the weight of her anguish. "You're letting them poison your mind, Alexander." "I'm letting the truth guide me." "The truth?" She let out a bitter laugh. "The truth is that you're divorcing me without a single piece of proof. You're throwing away our love, our vows, for whispers and rumors." His silence was deafening. With a heavy heart, Mia picked up the pen, her fingers trembling as she signed her name. As soon as the ink dried, it felt like her soul had shattered into pieces. She slid the papers across the table, standing up on unsteady legs. "I hope you never feel the pain I feel right now," she whispered, turning away before he could see the fresh wave of tears spilling down her cheeks. Alexander remained motionless as she walked out of the office, his heart pounding painfully against his ribs. He clenched his fists, fighting an inner war between pride and doubt. But the damage had been done. Days turned into weeks, and Mia packed up her life in silence, carrying only the memories of a love she thought would last forever. Gossip spread quickly, and humiliation weighed on her every step. The whispers of pity, the eyes watching her, made every day a struggle. Yet, through the agony, she still loved him. Meanwhile, Alexander moved on, or so he convinced himself. His friends reassured him he had made the right decision, that Mia was never meant for him. And when a stunning woman named Sophia entered his life, her beauty dazzling, her presence a perfect fit for his high society world, he allowed himself to believe he had made the right choice. Their courtship was swift, practical. Unlike Mia, Sophia didn't challenge him, didn't make his heart race with wild passion. She fit the image of what the world expected of him. Within months, Alexander stood at the altar once again, exchanging vows with a woman who was everything society approved of. Yet even as he kissed his new bride, a hollow emptiness settled in his chest, a ghost of a love he had cast aside, haunting him in the depths of his soul. Alexander had expected a fresh start with Sophia, a love story free of doubt and scandal. He told himself that his new wife was the perfect match, the refined, elegant woman society expected by his side. But it did not take long for cracks to form in the illusion. At first, it was small things. Sophia was cold, distant, uninterested in the little things that once made Alexander feel alive. She did not laugh at his jokes the way Mia did, nor did she listen intently when he spoke about his dreams. Conversations with Sophia felt transactional, calculated. Then the selfishness began to surface. She cared more about public appearances than private moments. She insisted on extravagant parties, designer outfits, and lavish vacations, not for love or shared experiences, but for status. Alexander found himself becoming an accessory to her carefully curated image, a man who was meant to provide, not to be loved. The first time he realized the extent of his mistake was on a quiet evening at home. He had just returned from work, exhausted, seeking solace in the warmth of his home, something he had once found in Mia's arms. Sophia, draped in silk and diamonds, barely acknowledged him. "You look tired," she remarked, examining her reflection in a hand mirror. "You should take better care of yourself. We have a gala this weekend, and you need to look presentable." Alexander blinked. "Sophia, do you even care how my day went?" She sighed, rolling her eyes. "Alexander, your job is to work. Mine is to make sure we maintain our image. That's how this works." His stomach twisted. This wasn't love. This was a transaction, a contract of convenience. And then there were the rumors. Whispers of Sophia's secret affairs, of her flirtations with other men when Alexander was too busy to notice. He dismissed them at first, unwilling to believe he could be deceived yet again, but the evidence became undeniable. Late-night calls she refused to explain, unexplained absences, the way she dismissed his concerns with a laugh. One evening, at a charity event, he watched as Sophia whispered into another man's ear, her fingers lightly grazing his arm, her laughter too familiar. A scene he had once accused Mia of, now playing before his own eyes. But this time, the betrayal was real. As the truth settled in his chest like a lead weight, Alexander's thoughts drifted to Mia. Her warmth, her kindness, her unwavering loyalty. The way she had looked at him with love, even when he doubted her. The way she had pleaded for him to trust her, only for him to turn his back on her without proof. He had let jealousy and insecurity destroy the best thing that ever happened to him. And now he was living in the consequences of his own blindness. Regret coiled around him like a noose, tightening with each memory of the woman he had pushed away. He had traded true love for a mirage, and it was his greatest mistake. Alexander sat in his office, staring blankly at his desk, his mind clouded with the weight of his choices. He had tried to convince himself that leaving Mia was the right decision, that she had betrayed him, but the emptiness in his heart refused to be ignored. Then, one evening, A familiar voice interrupted his solitude. "Alexander, there's something you need to know." It was Daniel, one of his old college friends, the same man who had once whispered poisoned words about Mia's supposed infidelity. But now his expression was solemn, his eyes filled with something Alexander hadn't seen before: guilt. "What is it?" Alexander asked, his voice laced with exhaustion and wariness. Daniel swallowed hard, hesitating. I need to tell you the truth about Mia." Alexander stiffened. "What truth?" "She never cheated on you," Daniel admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "None of it was true. We made it up." Silence filled the room, thick and suffocating. Alexander's heartbeat thundered in his ears. "What?" he breathed, his hands clenching into fists. Daniel looked away, shame etched into his features. "We were jealous, Alexander, jealous that you found someone like her, someone who truly loved you. You had everything: wealth, success, and Mia's love. We hated that, so we decided to ruin it." Alexander shot up from his chair, his pulse roaring in his ears. "You lied. You destroyed my marriage for your own amusement." Daniel flinched. "We didn't think you'd actually divorce her. We thought you'd just confront her, maybe fight a little. But we never imagined you'd throw her away." Alexander's breath came in ragged gasps. Every memory of Mia's heartbreak flashed before his eyes, the way she had begged him to trust her, the tears that had streamed down her face when he accused her, and he had walked away. His chest ached as a crushing realization settled over him. He had believed lies over the woman who had loved him unconditionally. He had let his jealousy and insecurities blind him to the truth. And now he had lost her. He felt sick. "Where is she?" Alexander demanded, his voice hoarse. Daniel hesitated. "She left the city after the divorce. No one really knows where she is now." A wave of desperation washed over Alexander. He had to find her. He had to make this right. Regret burned deep in his soul as he whispered, "What have I done?" The weight of regret was unbearable. Alexander had spent sleepless nights haunted by Mia's face, the pain in her eyes when he had accused her, the way she had walked away from him with her heart shattered. He had destroyed the one person who had loved him beyond his wealth and status. And now he had to find her. He scoured every trace of her life, hiring private investigators, calling old friends, but Mia had vanished. The city held no sign of her, as if she had erased herself from his world entirely. The thought sent a sharp ache through his chest. Had he truly lost her forever? Then, after weeks of searching, a lead surfaced. An old mutual acquaintance mentioned that Mia had relocated to a small coastal town far from the glitz and gossip of his social circle. She had opened a quaint little bookstore by the sea, a place where she could start over away from the pain he had caused her. Without hesitation, Alexander boarded the first flight to the town, his heart pounding with nervous anticipation. The drive to her bookstore felt endless, each mile stretching his regret even further. Would she even agree to see him? Had she moved on with someone else? Would she still care for him after all the damage he had done? As he stepped onto the quiet street where her shop was nestled, he took a deep breath, steadying himself. Through the glass window, he saw her, Mia, more beautiful than he remembered. Her hair was pulled back in a loose bun, her eyes focused on a book she held, a soft smile gracing her lips. For a moment, he hesitated. He had broken her. Did he even deserve a second chance? Then, as if sensing his presence, Mia lifted her gaze and met his eyes through the window. Time seemed to freeze. Shock flickered across her face, quickly followed by guarded hesitation. Her heart pounded, emotions she had buried resurfacing in an instant. Alexander took a tentative step forward, his voice catching in his throat. Mia! She exhaled slowly, setting the book down. 1,000 unspoken words lingered between them, years of love and pain wrapped in a single glance. "Why are you here, Alexander?" Her voice was steady, but he could hear the fragility beneath it. He swallowed hard, his heart hammering against his ribs. "Because I finally know the truth, and I can't live another day without you." Mia's eyes darkened with emotion, but she remained silent. She had rebuilt her life, but deep down, her heart still ached for him. Could she let him back in? Could she risk it all over again? Alexander took another step closer, desperation and love intertwined in his voice. "Please, Mia, give me a chance to make things right." Mia stared at him, torn between the past and the possibility of a new future. And in that moment, the decision hung in the air, waiting to be made. Alexander stood before Mia, his heart pounding as he gathered the courage to speak. She had every reason to hate him, every reason to turn away, yet she remained, watching him with a guarded expression. The soft hum of the waves outside the bookstore was the only sound between them as he struggled to find the words. "Mia," he began, his voice thick with emotion, "I know that I don't deserve your forgiveness. I don't even deserve to be standing here asking for it. But I need you to know I was wrong. I was blinded by jealousy, by lies, by my own insecurities. And in the process, I destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me." Mia crossed her arms, her expression unreadable. "Do you think saying that now changes what you did?" Alexander shook his head, his throat tightening. I know words aren't enough, but I need you to hear them anyway because they are true." She sighed, her fingers tracing the edge of the wooden counter beside her. "I begged you to trust me, Alexander. I pleaded with you, and you walked away without a second thought." His chest ached at the memory. He had been so foolish, so consumed by pride, that he had ignored the woman who had given him nothing but love. He stepped closer, carefully, as though afraid she might disappear. "He was a coward. I listened to people who wanted to see me miserable rather than the woman who loved me, and by the time I realized the truth, it was too late." Mia studied him, her dark eyes filled with a storm of emotions. "What do you want from me?" "I want the chance to prove to you that I've changed, that I am not the same man who let you go." He exhaled shakily. "I've spent every day since you left regretting what I did. And I swear, Mia, if you give me another chance, I will spend the rest of my life making up for the pain I caused you." Silence stretched between them. Mia searched his face, looking for signs of deception, but all she found was raw sincerity. The man before her was not the cold, distant CEO who had once thrown her love away. He was broken, humbled, a man who had learned the true meaning of loss. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to let herself feel the love she had tried so hard to bury. But was she ready to risk her heart again? After a long pause, she took a deep breath. "I don't know if I can just forgive you overnight, Alexander. It's going to take time." Hope flickered in his eyes. "I'll wait as long as it takes." Mia nodded, her heart still uncertain, but open to the possibility of healing. Perhaps, just perhaps, love wasn't entirely lost. Time had been both a healer and a test. Mia had taken the journey of forgiveness step by step, allowing herself to slowly rebuild the trust that had once been shattered. Alexander had remained patient, proving his devotion through his actions rather than just words. Day by day, moment by moment, their love rekindled like a fire that had never truly burned out. And now, standing at the altar once more, Mia gazed into Alexander's eyes, seeing the man she had always loved, the man who had changed, who had fought for her, who had chosen love over pride. Tears shimmered in her eyes as she took a deep breath, ready to take this step again. The ceremony was intimate, yet profound. Unlike their first wedding, which had been filled with extravagance and high society whispers, this one was about them. Two hearts, mended and whole, choosing each other again. Their closest friends and family gathered, their smiles genuine, their blessings heartfelt. As the officiant spoke, Mia and Alexander exchanged vows, each word holding the weight of their journey. "I vow to cherish you, to trust you, and to never let doubt take the place of love again," Alexander whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "I vow to honor the love we fought so hard for, and to never let anything come between us again." Mia's lips trembled as she spoke. "I vow to let love lead, to forgive fully, and to believe in us. Because true love isn't perfect. It's about fighting for what's real." When they sealed their vows with a kiss, the room erupted in applause, but for them, the world had faded away. In that moment, it was just them, two souls, reunited, stronger than ever. As they danced under the soft glow of string lights, Mia rested her head against Alexander's chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heart. "I never thought we'd be here again," she murmured. Alexander pressed a gentle kiss to her forehead. "Love brought us back. And this time, nothing will take it away." The story ended not with a perfect fairy tale, but with something far greater, a love that had endured, that had been tested, and had triumphed. It carried a powerful message: never let rumors destroy real love. Trust is the foundation of every relationship. And for Mia and Alexander, love had conquered all. Love is one of the most beautiful and powerful forces in the world. It knows no boundaries of race, status, or wealth. True love is built on trust, understanding, and loyalty. But what happens when trust is broken? What happens when lies and insecurities destroy something so pure? This story is not just about a man who made a terrible mistake. It's about the society we live in, the values we uphold, and the importance of never letting rumors, jealousy, or prejudice tear apart something as rare as true love. In today's world, people often judge others based on appearance, social status, and background rather than the content of their character. Alexander was a wealthy CEO, respected and admired, yet he allowed the voices of jealousy to dictate his decisions. Mia, a strong, intelligent, and loving woman, was punished not for her actions, but because of the insecurities and prejudices of those around her. This is a reminder to all of us: never judge someone without knowing the truth. Words are powerful. They can heal, but they can also destroy. Gossip and false accusations have the potential to break even the strongest bonds. We must learn to differentiate between the truth and lies, between genuine concerns and envious whispers. How many relationships, friendships, and even families have been destroyed simply because someone chose to believe rumors instead of their loved ones? Trust is the foundation of every relationship. Without trust, love crumbles. If you truly love someone, you owe them honesty, faith, and the benefit of the doubt. Alexander let doubt take control instead of standing by the woman who had given him her heart, and in the end, he was left with nothing but regret. Let his mistake be a lesson to us all. Never take for granted the love and loyalty of someone who stands by you through thick and thin. Regret is one of the heaviest burdens to carry. It is a silent pain that eats away at a person's soul, reminding them of the love they lost, the words they should have said, and the actions they should have taken. When Alexander realized the truth, He was left shattered, desperate to undo the damage. But life doesn't always give second chances. Don't wait until it's too late to appreciate the people who love you. Show them, tell them, and protect them from the voices that seek to destroy what you have built together. This story also carries a deeper message about how society views interracial relationships. Love should never be defined by color, background, or societal expectations. Mia and Alexander's love was real, yet they had to face the judgment and prejudice of those who could not see beyond their own biases. It's time to break free from outdated mindsets and embrace love in its purest form. Love is love, and it belongs to everyone, regardless of race or status. To all the Mias in the world, women who love deeply, who remain loyal despite the storms, who continue to give their hearts even when they are broken, you are seen, you are valued, and you deserve to be cherished. Never let anyone tell you that you are not enough. Your love is a gift, and those who fail to see it are the ones who are truly lost. To all the Alexanders, those who have made mistakes, those who have let doubt and ego destroy something precious, it's never too late to change, to grow, and to learn from your past. True redemption comes not just from saying sorry, but from becoming a better person, from never making the same mistake twice. And to society as a whole, let us be better. Let us uplift rather than tear down. Let us be the voices that spread truth and kindness rather than gossip and envy. Let us celebrate love in all its forms rather than placing barriers around it. At the end of the day, love is what truly matters. Not wealth, not status, not the opinions of outsiders. When everything else fades, love is what remains. Protect it, nurture it, and never let anything come between you and the person who loves you with all their heart. Let this story be a reminder to all of us. Never let rumors destroy real love. Trust is the foundation of every relationship, and when love is real, it deserves to be fought for. Thank you for watching until the end. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here and experiencing this emotional journey with me. Your love and support mean everything. Without you, without your encouragement, your comments, and your shares, none of this would be possible. You are my inspiration, my motivation, and my strength to keep writing these meaningful stories. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to support this channel. Subscribe to Mr. Carter Stories. Your support helps me bring you more beautiful, heartfelt, and thought-provoking stories. Like and share. Help spread this message of love, trust, and redemption with the world. Comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Your words keep me going and inspire me to write even more valuable content for this wonderful community. I want to be honest with you all. I spend countless hours writing, creating, and bringing these stories to life. But sometimes it feels disheartening when I see that many of you watch but don't subscribe. Without your support, I am nothing. Your likes, your shares, and especially your comments fuel my passion and give me the energy to continue crafting these emotional stories. So, if you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and become a part of this growing family. Your feedback is my strength, and knowing that my stories resonate with you keeps me going. Every single one of you is a part of this journey, and I am beyond grateful. Let's continue growing together, sharing stories, and learning life's most valuable lessons. Subscribe now, and I'll see you in the next story, On Fire. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here and experiencing this emotional journey with me. Your love and support mean everything. Without you, without your encouragement, your comments, and your shares, none of this would be possible. You are my inspiration, my motivation, and my strength to keep writing these meaningful stories. I want to share something from my heart. I work 14 to 15 hours a day, pouring my soul into crafting these stories for you. Every scene, every emotion, every lesson. I write them with immense dedication and love so that you can feel something deep within your heart. But sometimes, after so many long hours, exhaustion takes over. My hands ache from writing, my eyes burn from staring at the screen, and my mind begs for rest. But do you know what makes all the tiredness disappear in an instant? Your love, your comments, your appreciation. When I see your kind words, when I see you engaging with my stories, it fills me with energy and passion to keep going. Your support is my fuel. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to support this channel. Subscribe to Mr. Carter Stories. Your support helps me bring you more beautiful, heartfelt, and thought-provoking stories. Like and share. Help spread this message of love, trust, and redemption with the world. Comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Your words keep me going and inspire me to write even more valuable content for this wonderful community. I want to be honest with you all. I spend countless hours writing, creating, and bringing these stories to life. But sometimes it feels disheartening when I see that many of you watch but don't subscribe. Without your support, I am nothing. Your likes, your shares, and especially your comments fuel my passion and give me the energy to continue crafting these emotional stories. So if you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and become a part of this growing family. Your feedback is my strength, and knowing that my stories resonate with you keeps me going. Every single one of you is a part of this journey, and I am beyond grateful. Let's continue growing together, sharing stories, and learning life's most valuable lessons. Subscribe now, and I'll see you in the next story.